Do not choose yet. The room is already choosing you. You're watching an explainer of Sources of Power. And listen, Sources of Power isn't just some book about speed. Sources of Power is about what actually happens before speed. This book, Sources of Power, written by Gary Klein, asks a much colder question. It asks why experts move under intense pressure while the rest of us just freeze. You see, Gary Klein didn't sit around studying calm, comfortable choices in a sterile lab. He studied fire. He studied flight, wounds, command, real live pressure. The choice model you were taught growing up, it's incredibly tidy. You list the options, you score them, you pick the winner. Sure, that model feels fair, but out in the real world, it waits far too long.
So, let's dive into this, because I've got to be honest, I really wanted this book to just praise gut instinct and call it a day. But it doesn't. It makes instinct earn its wage. Imagine standing in a half-built atrium. The floor is literally humming right under your shoes. You ask for a map to figure out what to do, but the steel answers first. The room is shifting. You're still drawing the map while the building is already moving under your feet. That tidy model of waiting around to list and score every option, it completely misses the real load-bearing signals of the exact moment you're in.
This brings us to Section 1, the trap of fair comparison, and why more options actually equal pattern blindness. Let's look at how your habit of comparison is secretly masking a serious pattern blindness.
I know exactly what this false belief sounds like in your head, and honestly, it sounds incredibly smart. I make better decisions when I lay out every option and compare them fairly. Man, I wish this weren't true, because that belief deserves immense respect. It protects you from impulse, right? It protects you from the loudest voice in the room. But let's walk that logic down to its absolute collapse. A real decision steals time. It shifts the moment you touch it. Your method needs clean rows and spreadsheets, but pressure just gives you smoke. You wait for fairness, the scene keeps moving, you compare your options, and the real question you needed to answer is already gone. And this brilliantly illustrates the trap we fall into. Look at this dilemma right here. Do we ask for more data, or do we make the call now? We give equal gravity to both sides of that scale. Gathering more data feels humble, making the call feels arrogant. But here's the secret. They are both symptoms of the exact same misunderstanding. You're treating decision quality like it's just about option volume.
So let's look at the alternative. Section 2, the architecture of expert choice, exposing the load path.
You see, experts don't actually compare a bunch of options first. They recognize a situation and they see one workable course. Sure, it looks super sudden from the outside, but inside their head, it is crowded with old scenes and cues. They aren't waiting for certainty. They're looking for the load path. And that brings us to the crucial upgrade that turns raw instinct into earned speed, mental simulation. It's an internal load test. Your mind imagines a candidate action against a live pattern to see if it holds up or if it breaks. The expert asks whether the first move will actually work, essentially running the failure in their head before their body ever commits. Let's map out Gary Klein's recognition prime decision model step by step. Step 1, see the pattern. Step 2, run the simulation. Step 3, revise or move. This fundamentally shifts where thought belongs. Thought doesn't just sit above action like some detached judge in a courtroom. No, thought stands beside action like a spotter at the gym, checking the weight before you lift. So the crucial point is exactly how we recognize these moments. Take a look at these 3 states of recognition. If the scene is known, recognition simply points the way. If it's an odd scene, diagnosis has to come first. And if it's a completely new move, mental simulation earns the right to proceed. You see, a strong mind doesn't honor every single possible choice with equal time. A strong mind tests the path that reality is actually made plausible.
And this beautifully illustrates how a pattern is essentially just compressed thought. Look at these 2 metaphors. In architecture, the steel joint knows exactly where the load will travel long before the building ever falls. In music, the string knows the tension before the note even speaks. Both show the exact same state. You aren't waiting around for certainty. You are tuning contact.
But this should probably make you a little uneasy. Let's step into the darker side of this in Section 3, Options as a Hidden Shield, Building a Temple to Delay. Directionlessness actually has a hidden pleasure to it. Think about it. It lets you stay completely serious without ever being exposed. You can research, you can refine, you can basically build a temple to delay. That option list you're holding, it was never just a tool, it's a shield. We see this so clearly in our second dilemma, trusting your gut versus forcing a checklist. The gut feels alive, while the checklist feels safe. But look at the fatal flaws here. A gut without simulation just becomes an impulse, and a checklist without recognition, it just becomes a blind ritual. The missing element in both is contact.
They completely lack trained contact with the actual gritty friction of the scene. I really want to pause here for a second. I want you to answer this next question without any polish. What are you calling diligence right now? Where are you using options as anesthesia? Which choice has already clearly shown its load path, but you are still sitting there asking for more exits? The building wasn't moving. Your frame was.
Let's move into our final act and see how this all comes together. Section 4. Trust the tested pattern, finding the first workable move.
That late map you were drawing earlier, it wasn't useless, it was just late. You kept asking for direction after the scene had already spoken. Because true freedom in decision-making isn't about having infinite choices. Freedom is a pattern you can trust under pressure. And here is the final reality. This is a severe philosophical claim, but you really need to hear it. A decision is not a private preference. A decision is a relationship with reality under time. Good judgment is having direct contact with the risk you're taking. Teams, leaders, they fail when they confuse process with contact. You do not need a perfect choice. You need a move that survives first contact.
So, how do we actually train for this? At upgowise.com, access your growth map. Use it to build your patterns. Use it to run simulations, rather than hiding inside respectable research. Use it as practice for the real contact.
Remember that atrium we talked about? The steel didn't ask you to believe in it. It asked you to notice it. And that is exactly what this book reveals. You don't have to worship every single option on the table, and you don't have to shame your instinct either. Trust the tested pattern.
Pick the next workable move before the screen comes back. Not the perfect one, the workable one. Name the pattern. Run the failure. Act on the tested move. Make it now. If not now, not ever.